The lipstick mark was the first thing I saw, a crimson smear shaped like a goodbye I never agreed to. It was on the back of a folded note, tucked neatly into the pocket of his navy blazer, the same blazer he'd worn on our anniversary dinner just 2 nights ago. I remember how I'd laughed when he told me he had an early meeting the next morning, how I'd kissed his cheek and told him not to forget his briefcase. But now, sitting on our bed with that piece of paper trembling in my hands, the words stared back at me like a slap. Last night was perfect, and right below it, a heart drawn in lipstick. I froze. My throat tightened, my heart racing in a rhythm that didn't feel like mine anymore. My name's Camille Arden, and I always thought I was the kind of woman who'd see it coming. I studied human behavior for a living, for God's sake, a psychology professor at Emerson State, teaching entire classrooms about red flags, micro-expressions, cognitive dissonance. But when it came to Evan, I didn't see a single damn thing. He was the kind of man who could make you believe in poetry again. Always put together, crisp shirt, easy smile, voice like velvet. He ran his own architecture firm, always talking about legacy projects and clean design. That was Evan. Charming, visionary, dependable. Or at least that's what I thought. The note was on creamy stationery, elegant cursive letters pressed into the surface with care. It wasn't some impulsive text or a careless DM. It was old school, deliberate. I flipped it over, my fingers trembling slightly. On the back, faint traces of his cologne clung to the fibers. He'd been wearing this jacket at dinner. That meant the note had been there the entire time, while he held my hand across the table, while he made a toast to our future, while he looked me in the eyes and said, "You make me better." I felt sick, but I didn't cry, not yet. Instead, I sat still, watched the late afternoon light pour across the room. And for the first time in 3 years, I let silence answer the question I'd been too afraid to ask. Because deep down, I already knew. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just hurt, it humiliates. It makes you question your own perception, your own sanity. Every memory turns into a suspect. The time he said he had to stay late to finalize a client proposal. The trip to Chicago that popped up last minute. The new phone passcode he brushed off as IT policy. It all lined up now like a cruel jigsaw puzzle that suddenly made too much sense. And the note? That was the final piece. I don't remember how long I sat there before I finally stood up. My hands were shaking, but my mind was sharp. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg for explanations I already knew would be lies. No. I wanted something better, something cleaner. I picked up his phone from the nightstand. I'd never gone through it before. We had a rule about mutual trust. Ironic, really. His face unlocked it. The irony burned in my chest. I opened his messages, scrolled, and there she was, Ariel. The chat history was long, flirty, full of inside jokes, pictures. He told her he couldn't stop thinking about her perfume. She told him she missed his laugh. And there it was, the same lipstick mark, photographed and sent to him with a caption, "For you, baby. Last night was perfect." Something inside me went still. I didn't cry, didn't throw the phone. Instead, I smiled, just barely. If she wanted to play games, I could write the rules. I clicked reply, and slowly I typed, "It was our last." Then I hit send. That should have been enough. It should have felt satisfying, sending that final dagger between them. But as I stared at the message thread, something in me refused to stop there. Because closure, real closure, doesn't come from revenge texts. It comes from reclaiming your power. So I set the phone down, picked up the lipstick-stained note, and walked into the bedroom. On his pillow, the same one where he'd whispered, "I love you," I placed the note neatly on top of the sheets. Then, beneath it, I left my wedding ring. It made a soft sound as it hit the fabric, final, metallic. I grabbed my bag, my passport, and the folder I'd been keeping tucked away for months, travel brochures for Barcelona, a trip I'd been waiting to take once Evan's schedule lightened up. It was time to take it on my own. The drive to the airport felt like a movie I wasn't starring in. Autopilot, headlights, music that sounded too emotional for a Tuesday night. I didn't even tell anyone, just booked the next flight out. By the time the plane took off, I felt weightless for the first time in years. No more waiting for someone to love me correctly, no more apologizing for expecting honesty, just me. Barcelona smelled like espresso and sea salt. I rented a small apartment overlooking La Rambla, the kind of place where you could hear the laughter of strangers echoing up from the street. Every morning, I'd sit by the window with my coffee and watch people rush to work. For weeks, I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not my sister, not my best friend. It wasn't shame, it was strategy. Because I wasn't done yet. 3 weeks later, a mutual friend, Jules, called me out of the blue. "Camille, did you hear about Evan?" she asked, voice hushed. I leaned back in my chair, pretending to think. "Can't say I have. What's he done now?" She hesitated. He's, in the middle of a PR mess. Someone leaked photos of him and that girl, Ariel. Turns out she's been blackmailing him. Her husband found out." I blinked, slow. "Her husband?" "Oh yeah," Jules said. "Apparently she wasn't single. And now her husband's suing both of them for emotional distress or something. Evan's firm just dropped 2 major clients because of it." My lips curved into the smallest smile. "Damn," I murmured. "Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy." That night, I sat by my window again, staring at the glittering lights of the city. I hadn't leaked anything. I didn't need to. People like Evan always build their own gallows. They just need time to climb up. Still, a small part of me wondered if karma had gotten a little nudge, because when I'd sent that message, it was our last. Ariel must have panicked. Maybe she'd confessed to her husband. Maybe the whole thing unraveled from there. Either way, it didn't matter. For once, I wasn't the collateral damage. Months passed. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since college. Abstracts mostly, sharp angles and color clashes that somehow made sense. I even joined a local artist collective, showing my first piece at a gallery by the beach. The title? Lipstick Lies. It sold the same night. A woman who bought it told me, "It feels like power taking its shape." I smiled and said, "That's exactly what it is." A few weeks later, Evan reached out. Of course he did. They always do. It was an email this time, polite, professional, as if we were colleagues instead of casualties. Subject, "Can we talk?" I didn't open it. Didn't need to. I archived it, then blocked his address. But before I closed my laptop, I typed one last thing, just for me, not to send. "You broke something, you'll never rebuild. I rebuilt something, you'll never touch." Then I hit delete. Time moved on. I built a new life, new art, new friends, new rhythm. But every now and then, when I'd catch a glimpse of a lipstick ad in a shop window or see someone wearing a navy blazer, I'd feel a flicker. Not of pain, but of clarity. Because that night didn't destroy me. It revealed me. One evening, about a year later, I was giving a guest lecture at an art psychology symposium in New York. After my talk, a young woman came up to me, nervous, holding a portfolio. "Professor Arden, your work on emotional resilience changed my life," she said. "I just got out of a toxic relationship, and reading your article helped me stop feeling crazy." Her voice trembled slightly on the word crazy, and I smiled. "Then you've already won," I said. "The day you stop explaining yourself to someone who doesn't deserve to understand you, that's the day you get your power back." She nodded, teary-eyed. "Thank you." As she walked away, I felt that familiar warmth in my chest, not from revenge, but from reclaiming. Later that night, alone in my hotel room, I opened my old sketchbook. Inside, between pages of charcoal drawings, I taped the original note, the one with the lipstick mark. I stared at it for a moment. The paper had faded, the edges curled. Then I tore it down the middle, slow, deliberate, and dropped it into the trash. It didn't even sting. It just ended. When I flew home to Barcelona the next morning, the ocean looked bluer than I'd ever seen it. I landed, grabbed my suitcase, and walked straight to my studio. On a blank canvas, I painted something new, light breaking through a storm. I called it Closure. For once, the ending wasn't sharp or cinematic. It was quiet, peaceful. Because I didn't need the world to know what I did to him, I just needed to know I never let him do it again. And that was the real masterpiece.
You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.